I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
His father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the 30-30. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey Live. I am your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by the lovely and talented Miss Tiffany. What's up, man?
Not too much.
You sound like shit. What is wrong with you?
Oh, my balls dropped. Sorry.
Shut up. It's about damn time.
Hey, that shit was funny. No, but I still sound like rubbish, but I'm here. I have a beautifier button that I love. Okay, but I can't do anything about this.
Hey, can you share that beautifier button?
Yeah, it's in your settings.
I have not found it, and I need it.
Yeah.
You do sound bad, and I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am physically up out of the bed. I did a lot around the house today, and it completely wiped me out. But I did wave the white flag to my husband. I said, look, he's been at work since Friday. I said, when you come home, will you please do the laundry? I can't.
Yeah, most people you can say, well, he's been at work since, 7 o'clock this morning. But with Zach, he's been at work since Friday.
Yeah, he's been at work since Friday.
It's the life of a paramedic.
Yeah, he works 2 full-time jobs. So, he's
love you, dude. You're awesome out there keeping everybody safe, Mr. Tiffany.
Yeah.
But he can't keep his wife safe. What's up with that?
No, you know what? That heifer got me sick, and his immune system's better, so he only had it 2 days. I'm on day 5, y'all.
No, I'm just kidding, Zach.
I know.
You're awesome. As you guys can tell, my voice is back officially. That last show we did, oh my God, that was terrible. That was terrible all the way around. I felt like shit. My voice was awful. I had internet issues. I got kicked out, and I couldn't get back in. So I just had to sign in, close the show out, and just say, just fuck it. We're going to start over.
I know. I was in the chat. I was like, oh no, do they need me? And Chris said, I think they do. So I was just really, all I was going to do is come in here and just turn my camera off and just be present to end this show at 9. I was not going to turn my camera on.
And I don't even know how the show ended. I started watching a little bit of it before we came on, and I was so disgusted with everything. I just turned it off. If there's a way to delete that episode from YouTube, I think I'm going to.
Yeah.
And we might just do it over.
Yeah, I would do it over. It ended. Kevin had just started talking about the Dogman. And then it was just I think Walls had said something, and Kevin was in the middle of talking about the Dogman, and then it just said Just cut.
Yeah. Well, it sucked all the way around, and I apologize for that.
Yep.
You guys expect better, and you deserve better, and you will get better.
That's right. And you know what?
Starting
I
tonight.
missed you guys so much. I feel like I've missed what, 2 shows?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to talk after the show. I've got a pink slip ready. We might have to go a different direction.
Shut up.
Sorry.
You ain't getting rid of me.
I would never get rid of you. All right. Well, I mean, obviously you don't feel well. You are just like I didn't last week. You're a trooper. You're hanging in there like I did last week, and we will get through this. We got an awesome show
I'm excited about it.
lined up for you guys. Mr. Danny, y'all know Danny, Brian's better half, producer of Paranormal World Productions. He contacted me a couple weeks ago and said, "I've got this dude that I would love for you to interview." So I've been talking with Logan for a little while, and Logan and Destiny are backstage. They're going to come on and talk some spooky with us. But before we get there, you guys know how it works. We got bills to pay.
Stinky bills. God, I'm so sick of bills.
Damn bills. Why do people need money?
I hate everything just
I mean, there was no internet years and years ago. I mean, people just farmed and shot shit.
And oh my gosh, it's like
everybody got along great. Why can't we just go back to those days? Let's just grow shit and shoot shit.
And we had these face-to-face conversations, in the same room with each other. Like,
what?
Get out.
What is that? That's crazy.
Social interaction? What the fuck?
There was no texting?
Mm-mm.
All right, guys, we're done with that. If you're new to the show tonight, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button before you leave. Help Miss Tiffany and myself continue to grow this stupid little show.
I don't think it's a stupid little show, but if you would like to be on this show, we do have dates open for December. You can reach out to Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany, at paranormalworldproductions.com, and we can get you on the schedule with us.
I'd like to ask everybody to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, check out our website, sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. Check out all the other shows, pick you up some merch. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do over there, but you've got to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com to do any of that.
And if you have questions for tonight's guest, which I'm sure you will, y'all have great questions all the time. We have questions. Just put them in all capital letters. We highlight them for the end of the show, do a rapid fire Q&A. And I can grab them all if you put them in all capital letters, please.
And guys, as always, our membership is open. It always is. It never closes. For $1.99 a month, you can become a PO freak and get early access to content, extra content, members only lives that we do monthly. $1.99 gets you the best family to be a part of. Thank you, Chris. I love you, ma'am. Mr. Alex, best effing $1.99 ever spent. I agree with you, buddy. I do. Because if y'all think about it, $2. $2. What the hell can you get on this planet for $2 anymore? I mean, you can't even get a 20-ounce Coke. Can you get a can of Coke for $2?
No, I think at Carrie's school, I think it's at least $2 out of their vending machine at school.
For a 12-ounce can of soda. Dude, for less than that, you can get all that extra shit with us. Come and be a part of our family. You get access to the members-only Discord. We hang out. We talk all the time. What are you giggling at?
Robert, it's 1,000 times better than Jelly of the Month. I mean, that's totally Christmas Vacation. I freaking love that movie, man.
I love you, bro. Yeah. But yeah, guys, seriously, $1.99 a month, it helps us out. It really does. There's close to 50 of y'all. now, and that it really does help out. Everything that you see on here costs money. Everything costs money, unfortunately, and that if you guys don't help us, it comes out of our pocket. So we definitely appreciate the help. Along with the Richard just signed up. Thank you very much, Richard. You are awesome. You are a new PO freak. We are happy to have you. Contact either Tiffany or myself. I'll go ahead. Either one of those emails right there, we will get you signed up in the members only Discord. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. It'll be so fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. It really is. It really is a family, guys. Chris says it all the time. Chris makes me feel good every time she says it, because she talks about how she just felt at home from the very beginning, and that's what we strive to do. You know, we're not making millions of dollars. You know, we're not celebrities. We do this on our own dime, on our own time. We take time away from our family. Do it when we're sick, obviously, as you see with Miss Tiffany tonight. And you guys are awesome. So thank you so very much. That being said, you guys also help us with the super stickers. You haven't been doing that as much lately because we have offered you guys the Cash App or the Venmo. And y'all have been helping us out that way. Please, that is greatly appreciated. YouTube takes their fees. They take like 30 to 40%. That's a lot, y'all. I mean, it really is. I love YouTube. None of this would be available. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for YouTube. So, I mean, we have to have them. I like YouTube. They're making enough money. You know, you don't have to take 40% of our little bit that we make. So you guys have been helping us out with the Cash App and the Venmo. That is certainly welcomed if you can. We appreciate it. All right. Anything else, ma'am?
No, I'm ready to get this show going.
I am too. We are coming up on 13 minutes. And yeah, like I said, I guess it was about a month or so ago, Mr. Danny reached out to me with Logan and told me a little bit about him. He described him as a light paranormal investigator. He's also a playwright, if I remember correctly. And I'm really excited to get these guys on. Like I said, Logan and Destiny are backstage. They seem really cool. And yeah, can't wait to hear what they have going on. So if you're ready, ma'am, we're going to bring them out.
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right, everybody, please give Logan and Destiny a warm welcome. What's up, guys?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Fantastic. Super excited to be here. Thanks for having us on.
It is always our pleasure.
Yeah, it is our pleasure. Thank you so very much for taking the time to come and hang out. Again, you guys were sent to me by Mr. Danny. Danny's awesome. We love Danny. So, yeah, we're going to jump into what you guys do. I mean, first off, tell us a little bit about what sparked your interest in the spooky and the paranormal. And we'll go with ladies first, if you don't mind.
All right. I've kind of always been involved, always been interested. It's something that for almost as long as I can remember, I've been kind of sensitive to the paranormal. My mother was very involved in just a lot of just the spooky in general, anything from cryptids to the paranormal to just all of it. Big fan of like Halloween, just always very into spooky. And she kind of drove me towards that direction. When I met Logan, it really blossomed. We and a few other friends, really got together and ran with it. Even though we had all had experiences before, we definitely delved into developing all of that a lot further at that point.
Oh, sweet. Very cool. Logan, same to you, buddy.
So for me, when I was a kid, Nightmare Before Christmas was still relatively new. And that's really what sparked everything for me. I was obsessed with the movie as a kid, watched it over and over and over. And then after that, I was watching like horror movies in elementary school. And that got me really obsessed with the spooky. And then even when I was a kid and up through high school and into college, I would write my own little stories. And then as a kid, write them and then act them out with little action figures or stuffed animals and make my friends and everyone also get involved. And then when I was in college, I was part of a group. I used to be a sign language interpreter as well. So at the college I went to, we had a group called Sign Troop that I was a part of, where we'd perform songs or skits in sign language. And one time we decided, why don't we just write a whole show in sign language? So we wrote a show called Defula. And it was about deaf vampires and witches, and it was totally corny, totally ridiculous. And that's one of the first things I actually had written or helped co-write with some others that got to be performed on stage. And then after that, for a while, I took a little brief hiatus from theater, and then eventually got back into community theater. And that's where I eventually did meet Destiny and some of the other people that became eventual back stairwell players with us. And then since then, we can talk about this more later too, but we also have been involved with paranormal investigations. And those investigations and those experiences really have been the biggest inspirations for our writings, especially our first show, Parlor Tricks, which is a much more darker, spookier themed show than the one we have coming up later this month. We keep saying Parlor Tricks is kind of it's our favorite show that we've done. It's definitely the one we put the most effort into, and they say write what you know. And I think so much of what we know went into that. That's what made that one so close to our hearts. And even the people, we use most of the same actors in a lot of our shows. Even the actors that have been in every show have said, Parlor Tricks will always be the best. It has a special place in all of our hearts. We don't think we can top Parlor Tricks. And I don't know if we can either.
Yeah, it's our baby. It was our first show. And like you said, it was so much of what we know. It was so many of our own paranormal experiences, so many of our own life experiences. That show, I feel like, just has so much of us in it. I don't know if we'll ever be able to beat it.
Yeah, very cool. You guys mentioned back stairwell players. Tell us a little bit about that. What is that exactly?
So that's the name of our organization. So we are a partnership, and we write the shows that we perform. So far, we've written 5 shows. 2 of them have been performed twice. 2 of them have been performed once. And then the most recent one we've written, Claustrophobia, actually we're performing that December 13th, 14th, and 15th for the first time. So we're really excited to showcase something new.
Now you say performing those. Are you guys actors as well?
Yes.
We are. We write and produce, act. We have a group of people. We have an entire troupe. We have several locations that we work with. So we see our shows through the whole process. Right now we're working on the set and pulling things together for this show.
And ironically, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's cool. Y'all are like the whole package with, the playwriting and the acting, and then the paranormal comes into it. It's just like y'all are just with a little bow.
And it wasn't intentional, but when I think about it, each of the places that we have performed at so far are also haunted locations.
Yeah, actually.
Hell yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And since we write our shows, and certain locations have reached out to us asking if we can do something there, we're able to kind of write the shows tailored to that location. Parlor Tricks is written tailored to the organization or the location it was performed at. We have another one, Buzzkill, that was written for that specific location it was performed at. And similarly with the actors that we use, since we use a lot of the same people, we write a lot of characters based off of who we want to play them and based on those actors' strengths. And I think that helps bring those characters to life, just kind of knowing the person already, knowing their little quirks, and being able to utilize that to also bring out this new character, which is such a big part of who they already are. And a lot of our actors are also paranormal investigators too, and have been involved in that. So they've been along with us for the ride in several different capacities. So it's really kind of fun on these different journeys, all spooky, but they all still kind of intertwining together, and one inspiring the other in different ways.
Well, and like you said, most of our locations that we've worked with have been haunted. Most of them we've investigated, if not all. I think all of them we've investigated.
All but one.
And a lot of our shows have been inspired by the investigations that we've had in these locations, which I think makes it even that much more special because, you know, we get to tailor it to it. But some of these locations, like, again, Parlor Tricks and A Snake in the Garden, were very inspired by the location and have characters and things that tie in either to the investigations we've had there, some of the spirits we've, you know, communicated with there. And that's been really cool to tie in.
I want to come play. Look, I took drama in high school.
I mean, we're always writing, always doing new shows. If you're willing to come up, I mean, we'll write something for you. Absolutely.
And high school is where we both started, so
I mean, I'm not a novice to it.
Now, you guys are in North Carolina, right?
Yes, we're in Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Right
And
next to the moon.
I want to ask you, because Danny sent you guys to me. Have you written anything for Danny? Because in my head, Danny seems like that kind of guy. Like, he would get up there and act and just do a kick-ass job.
I would say not yet. I could see him being the type of guy that would be very good at that. I mean, I met him pretty recently, so we were already starting Claustrophobia by that time.
Now, real quick, Logan, I've heard you mention claustrophobia a couple times. I believe I'm claustrophobic. Anything I see on TV or any videos where someone's in a tight space, I freak the hell out. What is claustrophobia about, and is it as fucking crazy as it sounds?
So Claustrophobia is our newest show. We've got the shirts on for it. It's a Christmas show. As you can tell, I'm so sorry. As you can tell,
okay.
It's like Santa Claus claustrophobia. It does tie in a little with the concept of being claustrophobic just because people are trapped, but not necessarily in a tight space.
So our shows are either like on the really serious, really dark side, or really just SNL level bar humor, totally stupid. And this one is more the lighthearted comedy kind of show. All of our shows, even the comedy ones, have a dark, spooky element to them in some way. We love puns. We love ridiculous humor. That's where the title kind of plays in. And the premise of this show is the naughtiest town on the earth every Christmas Eve gets selected, and basically Santa Claus is this elder god that has enslaved the elf race, and the elves show up, and eventually Santa, or the Red Man, to this naughty town, and they have a chance to redeem themselves by getting themselves on the nice list, or else they all get turned into toys by midnight. And that's where the toys come from that Santa gives out every year to the good kids.
That is so freaking amazing.
We say it's almost like Christmas Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Because it's like this town, you have to find so many good people or else the whole town gets destroyed. And it takes place at Marty's Mega Mini Mart. And there are all these characters in this mart on Christmas Eve that just closed up for the night. And it's a blizzard outside, so they're trapped. And then one of the elves shows up and kind of goes over what I just explained to you and said you have till midnight to try to get on the nice list, or else you're all doomed. You're all going to turn into toys. And then they have to figure out if they can either find some nice people or get themselves on the nice list. And then you have the owner of the store who is just clueless and obsessed with money. You have a customer that is a stereotypical Karen, named Karen, who is also trapped in the store. You have the drunk department store Santa. So it's all these different reasons they're on the naughty list. And it's totally ridiculous. It's totally the opposite of Parlor Tricks. But with
we love ridiculous.
Oh, it's the best.
It's really goofy. We're doing it in a bar. We're doing it in Stardust Cellars. And so we wrote it for them to be very funny. So it's really ridiculous. It's super goofy, but it's a great, fun, lighthearted time with a lot of jokes. We wanted to write something that like adults could come, because so many Christmas shows, while I love so many classic Christmas shows, they're really targeted towards kids, and they're really targeted towards, you know, that feel good Christmas, which is great. But we really wanted something where you could come, you could get a drink, and you could have a great time. And it's hilarious. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
Leave your kids at home.
Yeah.
but I'd say this is one of the more ridiculous shows we've written. Stardust Cellars, again, is the location that we're performing at, and that's December 13th, 14th, 15th. And Stardust has been so great to work with. This is the third show that we've done there, and the second one we've written specifically for that location. And Stardust is a meadery here in Wilkesboro. It's a winery and meadery. And until Stardust opened, I don't think I even knew what mead was.
It's weird that you bring that up because
are you drinking mead right now?
No. Troy, my good buddy Troy in Tennessee that's out here, he is my whiskey guy. And he has introduced me just to the world of whiskey, him and Brian. But I saw something on Facebook about like a Viking mead or something like that. I'm not sure what it's called, but I had no idea what mead was. So I reached out to Troy and I said, is mead a whiskey? I mean, what is mead? So yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
I thought he said meat. I was like, do they have a meadery in food?
I actually think that Stardust actually works with someone who does whiskey, and they actually have a whiskey mead where they age it in whiskey barrels. Yeah.
They do a lot of new stuff, and they have a lot of events there too, and they make new drinks with mead, like catered to specifically towards whatever event it is. Like they have trivia. So if the trivia is like movie themed, they might have something related to a specific movie. For our shows, they've always had drinks specifically for whatever show we're doing. And we don't know what they're going to do for this one. One thing that we're doing for this, we often do dinner theaters. Almost every show we've done has been a dinner theater. But for this one, for Christmas, we're doing it as a dessert theater instead. So with the ticket price, they're going to have the hot beverage bar with coffees, hot chocolate, but also we have Christmas desserts that we're going to have, a lot of which catered by a local bakery, Heather B's Bakery here in Wilkesboro. So it's a little bit different than just your normal show or a dinner theater, I think. And they'll also have their open cash bar with their normal drink specials, meads, beer, alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where you guys put on your shows at. So are they different locations or do you have like a playhouse somewhere that you use regularly or are they in different places?
We do a lot of ours in different places. We work with several different locations. I know we've worked with Benton Hall, which is local, and they've actually got another group that works with them. We've got Stardust we've worked with several times.
There's another local restaurant that had a big stage area in the back that we got to do Parlor Tricks at a second time.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, the second time we did Parlor Tricks, and in a minute, if you'd like, I can explain what Parlor Tricks is, because I feel like we keep saying Parlor Tricks, and people like, what the hell is that? So Parlor Tricks, again, is more of our darker show, and it takes place in the Victorian era, 1895, at a seance. It's a murder mystery that the murders take place at a seance.
Hell yeah.
And during the rehearsal process, the owner of the location came to us and said, like, I don't care. But just so you guys know, someone called the police and said that we're doing exorcisms up in here. And on one hand, it's like, okay, we're in the Bible Belt. Of course, that's going to happen. But at the same time, it's kind of like someone got so like scared and bothered by this, they actually called the police.
What?
And that's kind of cool in a way, I think.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, even if we were performing exorcisms,
I don't think that's illegal.
I mean, isn't that like trying to get rid of the bad stuff anyway?
Yeah.
But so that was really funny to hear. But Parlor Tricks is, again, an 1895 seance. You have a European psychic and his traveling companion, played by us, that come to America to host these big seances like they did back in the Victorian era. And then murders start taking place. And I got to give it to Destiny. She plays the traveling companion who is a vessel that gets possessed by different spirits. And each time a spirit possesses this character, Esme, she'll go down and come up as a completely different person, different accent, different voice. How many different spirits did you play in that show?
In that show, I technically, within my one character, play 13 different characters.
Holy hell.
Oh, that's a lot of personalities for one lady.
It was exhausting to watch her do it, so I can imagine how it was to actually do it. And one of the most physically demanding shows we've done has been Parlor Tricks, and then this connects to one of our paranormal experiences. There's one of the spirits that she gets possessed by named Samuel Croft. And if you want to take it away anytime, since this is your character, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead.
I would like to, I'll just say, like Esme, the character that I played, the traveling companion. It is very physically demanding because some of the spirits that come through are darker. And, you know, just as you see in media, those are usually pretty twisted physically. So we do a couple crazy things in this show. But Samuel Croft is one of them. And he's actually based on an experience that we had in South Carolina at the Hartsville Museum. We did an investigation there. It was a public investigation. We had a lot of people there. And we were in the basement. And it was interesting because when we had walked the location with the curator, she said, you guys can investigate the basement because, I mean, everybody's going to want to go in the basement. That's just what people want to do on an investigation. But we've never had any experiences down here. So I don't expect you to actually catch anything, but you can investigate down here just because it's creepy and people are going to want to do that. So we even warned people. We're like, we might not catch anything down here, but we'll go down here because it's, you know, exclusive. You don't get to go here during the day. It'll be fun. And we went down there and we actually started getting these phenomenal, really good communications through the S box and our Phasma box. And they were coming through. They were really clear. And then we had another, it was 2 different voices. And then we had a third voice come in like 20, 30 minutes into this communication. We were well established at this point. And it's a lot darker and it starts introducing itself. And these first 2 voices we were talking to, who were relatively pleasant, kind of, we got to go. And we were like, oh, you don't have to. And we got to go. And they stopped communicating. We we're like, well, that's weird. And the feeling in the room really changed. We had 2 rooms. The basement was split into 2 rooms with a big barn door in the middle. And Logan was with our public group in the lit space. And then the second space had 1 light bulb and was mostly storage. I was in there with another one of our investigators. And this voice comes through and says, turn off the lights. And we're like, well, we're not going to turn off the lights. You seem kind of dark. So we're not going to do
dark
this.
enough, yeah.
And then it's talking and it's talking and it's saying some iffy things, some sketchy things, not super positive. And it says, I can crawl around in the dark. So we're like, okay, well, we'll talk to you on that. Can you crawl around in the light? And it says no. We're like, well, can you walk around in the dark? It says no. We're like, this is weird. And then it circles back to turn off the lights, turn off the lights. So I was like, okay, we'll turn off our 1 light bulb in this room, but leave the lights on with Logan and the public because we want to keep them safe. Well, we turn off the lights and immediately this entity comes through and makes a threat. Well, Logan actually said, I'm sorry. Logan said, are you glad we turned off the lights? And it goes through and says, oh yeah, now we're talking.
Oh,
No.
We were like, well, that's interesting. So then we were like, so can you move around now? And it says yes. And then immediately makes a threat towards the other investigator in the room. His parents were at this investigation. And it said that it was going to attack his mother.
It said your mother's protection is gone.
Yeah, because we had turned out the lights. So we were like, okay, we're cutting this. Nope. Lights back on, turn off the box. And we went, took his mother out and, did like a little blessing to make sure she was safe. But that was insane. So then that night, and that's all we got from this entity. That's all we knew was he'd crawl around in the dark. Well, that night we go and we're in our hotel and I'm laying in bed and we just had 2 beds in the room. And so he was laying in the other bed and I'm laying there, I'm trying to fall asleep, lights coming through the curtain, how it is in a hotel. And I don't remember falling asleep, but my nightmare starts, same thing, just laying there on the bed, lights coming through the hotel. I can hear him sleeping and nothing. Then I hear this sound like thud, drag, drag in the room. And I'm like, what is that? So I look over the foot of the bed and I see this man. He's shirtless, has no legs, and his skin is like crepe paper mummified kind of skin. He's got no hair. His eyes are so wide and kind of the skin's pulled back. And
Well,
he's got-
Destiny, thank you for fucking up my sleep tonight.
You're welcome.
You have a picture somewhere that you drew, right?
I do
wish you could
somewhere.
find that.
I don't remember.
God.
But he's got this huge smile and he's dragging himself across the floor.
Oh
So
my
I like
God.
crawl back up on the bed, obviously, like, oh my God, what do I do? And I listen to this thump, drag, until he comes up on the bed. And then I woke up from the nightmare. And of course, when I woke up, I'm in the room, the light's coming through the curtains. So I laid there wide awake until the sun came up. I was like, nope, I'm done. Just waiting for that sound.
I would never go pee by myself.
What made this experience, like when I woke up the next day, or when we got up and started doing our thing, it was like, okay, that was just a nightmare. Creepy as it was a dream. Well, we went. So the first night we had the assistant curator investigating with us. Our second night, the real curator came. So the second night, we're cleaning up after the investigation. All of our public people have gone home. We're picking up all of our equipment and cameras and everything. And we're telling the curator, oh, you really missed it last night. Here's what we communicated with. It didn't make a lot of sense, but it was really creepy. And she said, oh, well, wait a minute. And we hadn't even told her about my dream yet. She said, wait a minute. So it may not have made sense to you, but just outside those basement windows, there is the main street of this town when this town was built. And this was a carriage town. So the bricks for the street had to be laid at night. They couldn't be laid during the day. And the man who laid the bricks was a very angry man who had no legs. And he would crawl around in the dark and lay the bricks. And I still get chills now.
Oh, fuck.
I almost died that night when she told us that. I was like, there is no way. We did not tell her about my dream. She said there was a very angry man who had to crawl around in the dark with no legs and lay the bricks just outside those basement windows.
Now, how do you explain that shit right there?
That's just, it's insane.
There's no way to explain that shit.
That's one of my favorite moments from all of our investigations. Just that when you get that validity, that confirmation after the fact.
From a museum curator, like she knows what happened in this town right here.
She didn't know what you dreamed.
Yeah, she has no clue. And all we had told her was the part about, the crawling around in the dark. That's all we had told her. And she's like, no, that makes sense. I know exactly who you were talking to.
Yeah, fuck you very much.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fuck you very hard. I am out.
But we say that to say that experience inspired this character or spirit that Esme gets possessed by in our show. One of the characters that owns the museum or the theater where this story takes place was a Civil War vet. And then she gets possessed by one of his old Civil War buddies, Samuel Croft, who apparently back in the day had his legs blown off in the battlefield and was left to die. So she, in this Victorian dress, gets possessed by Samuel Croft and starts crawling across the floor towards the character, saying, "Don't you remember me?" What you can say your lines if you.
Oh God, there's "Don't you remember me?"
Newburn 62.
Yeah, Newburn 62. My legs, my damned legs, Clarence, and I get to scream at him at the top. It's so therapeutic. It's a lot. It's a very demanding role, but it's so therapeutic. I get to just scream the whole time.
I want to write like that, like Newburn 62, General Branch. Like we try to, especially with the more serious shows, be as historically accurate as we can be, because we still have a special place in our hearts, I think, for actual local history. And I think that comes a lot with being a paranormal investigator too, is trying to preserve a lot of the accuracy of these locations, the stories of these people that you're now speaking to as spirits.
And Newburn with General Branch actually was a huge slaughter battle in North Carolina during the Civil War, where the South was coming in and got very much ambushed by like 3 times the men. And most of their people didn't make it out. And it was a really tragic battle. And so love to pull that in. And one of our characters, one of our actors, not our characters, one of our actors who works with us, he's been in every one of our shows. Johnny Barnett actually used to be a Civil War reenactor. So it was really great to work with him on that. He actually has like a medical bag that he uses for his character in Parlor Tricks. That's an actual Civil War medical bag.
I think he has rimmed glasses from the Civil War era,
the glasses
too.
he wears, in the show. So he's really cute somehow.
So how often do you guys get to do shows?
This year, Claustrophobia will be the 4th show that we've done this year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our actors do stuff with other theater groups too. So some of them will perform with us. They'll go other places. Lately, we've been more, I guess, tied up with our own stuff. So we haven't got to do as much elsewhere yet, or lately.
But we're typically 2 to 4 a year, just depending on locations and availability. Sometimes I work. I'm an accountant. Sometimes I work during tax season, and that makes it hard to do that part of the year.
We have some new locations reaching out that are a little bit further away for some
Like
time.
where?
We have some places, Winston-Salem, Kernersville area, that are interested. Nothing's on the books yet, so I don't want to say too much just because you never know what can happen. But we're excited to branch out more and be able to reach new people, new audiences, because we still have a lot of other experiences that I'm sure we could draw from for these shows. One of our other shows.
I'm in Southeast Tennessee, and one of these days I'm going to go and visit Brian and Danny on their property because I'm a Bigfoot guy. They've been having Bigfoot activity out there, and I mean I've been invited out there for as long as I've known Brian. I can go and hang out with him. He's one of my best friends. One of these days I'm going to go and visit. It would be awesome for me to time it to where you guys were doing the show.
Well, we have a website that lists when we have events, backstairwellplayers.com. And we don't really have our season planned out. Nothing solidified yet for next year. I will say, without going into too much detail, we do have ideas for a Bigfoot themed show.
Hell yeah.
That we are working on. Some other members of our group are also Bigfoot fanatics and have had their own Bigfoot encounters, which I'm sure they'd love to talk more about. Oh yeah. So that's one we're writing on. We have like 10 different shows. We're kind of like writing that are all on the back burner. One day we're going to say, we're going to focus on this show next, but then something will change. Okay, nope, we're going to do this one next instead.
Yeah.
It's really hard to keep from jumping around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I completely lost where I was going to go with that. Tiffany, you got anything?
Yeah, let me know when you go to North Carolina because, I'm in Virginia. I'm only 2 hours and 45 minutes from there. So, and I would really love to come and see you guys because, your energy is phenomenal.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
I
can tell just from talking to you guys for this like 40 minutes or so that I would really enjoy hanging out with you guys.
You guys seem great too. We'd love to have you down here.
Wilkes County, North Carolina, anytime. Come on down. We'd love to travel too. A lot of our inspirations come from other places. We investigated the Crescent Hotel.
That's where I was going to go. I wanted to try to focus a little bit more on your personal investigations and things that you have experienced. Can you talk a little bit about that? It seems like Logan was going to go there.
You want to talk about Arkansas, or do you want me to talk about Arkansas?
I talked a lot about Samuel Croft. I'll let you talk about the Crescent. Yeah.
All right. So the Crescent Hotel, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but in case someone's watching that isn't.
I've heard of it.
It's, and I forget the name of the town in Arkansas that it's
Eureka Springs.
Eureka
Arkansas.
Springs, which is an adorable town. It's an awesome place. And it's a really nice resort. I think it was built it was either late 1800s. I think it was late 1800s because I think there's a fireplace.
I think it was the 1860s.
Something like that. Latter half of the 1800s. And I think it started out being a college and then maybe some other things. But before it became the resort, it was actually a treatment for cancer patients. That was ran by this doctor who was found out later to be a complete quack.
Norman Baker.
he had all of the, allegedly the water in Eureka Springs would heal people with sickness. And he had these remedies that he said, come here and I'll heal you. And then the bodies were piling up. No one was getting better. And he eventually was ran out. And so lots of energy there, not always pleasant, a lot of sad energy left behind from a lot of those people that went there with the hopes or the intent of getting better, the promise of getting better, and then never made it out. It's been featured on a lot of paranormal shows. I know Ghost Adventures had an episode about it. And we went there with some friends, and even though it wasn't like a big public event, we kind of investigated in our rooms and then did, of course, the ghost tour they have. They have a phenomenal ghost tour, phenomenal breakfast food as well. But we've got a lot of what sounded like a lot of residual conversations left behind from the location. And it would sound like conversations between patients and nurses.
But it was so clear. It was insane how clear and consistent it was.
And then just bone-chilling moans, like the sounds of people in pain. And which is heartbreaking to think of, these people that you're talking to. This is if it's residual or not, you know, these people might have took their last moments here. We might be listening to these people's last moments right now. And as cool as the place is, it is really heartbreaking to know how many people did suffer there. And again, tying it back to a show, we did use the hotel as inspiration for another murder mystery that we wrote and performed called Snake in the Garden. It was a 1920s speakeasy themed show. There were a lot of other little places in Eureka Springs, Arkansas that have speakeasy themes or kind of have that tie into the olden days. A lot of the things still look the same way they did back in the 1800s. So it's really cool to see, really inspirational. Lots of other haunted locations as well. I think we tried to go into one of the other hotels and walked in on someone's wedding accidentally.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, hell.
Yeah. And then as far as some of our other locations that we've investigated and some of our other favorite spirits, at one of the locations we mentioned, Benton Hall, which is where Parlor Tricks was first performed. It was written for that location, which is, it used to be a school, and then it became eventually a theater in town. We did a lot of investigations there, several spirits, lots of residual energy. And then one entity that everyone always talked about being a dark entity, no one knew where he came from, hung out a lot in the back stairwell of the building. Everyone always talked about how the back stairwell had this dark, heavy, negative energy. And that's actually where we got our name inspiration from, was the back stairwell at this location. Yeah. And people would always describe him as the tall man in the suit.
Oh.
The man in the wingtip shoes, because you could always hear the footsteps, click, click, click.
Did he have a hat?
People usually never saw his from here up. It was always covered in shadow, probably intentionally that way.
It was there were times where you would see him and it wouldn't even make sense that there was shadow, but it was very rare people would see his head. No one's ever mentioned a hat.
And he wasn't a shadow like when people would see him, they would be able to see like the shoes. Like you even talked about seeing the moisture on his shoes one time.
Fabric of his clothes. He was very solid and very real.
And for a while, because of that, we called him Wingman. And I think that name came from a private investigation we did at the location. We were on the stage in the auditorium in the dark. And then someone was, I think it might have been you, using the Estes method with the S box or the Phasma box. Mm-hmm. And you or whoever it was under said, he's coming. And we said, who? They said, Wingman.
No, thank you.
And at the time, we had called him the man in the wingtip shoes.
So that translated to Wingman. He pops up. He would pop up a lot during shows, and this when we're in the building, and you could always kind of tell a shift in the energy when he was around.
Very heavy.
So we based one of the Parlor Tricks characters off of that. There's one character in the show that's an actress at the location. Her name is Florence Capulet, and she's in love and obsessed with the ghost of the theater. So we called him, in the show, she refers to him as Mr. Montague because her last name was Capulet. So it's a Romeo and Juliet, Montague Capulet kind of thing. And then later, after we did the show, during investigations, we asked, did you like the character we based off of you? And he would answer yes. And we asked, can we start calling you Montague? And he said yes, he likes the name Montague. So he went from the tall man or the man in the wingtip shoes to wingman, and now we just call him Montague when we refer to him. And the scene where he possesses Esme, we later asked when we were performing, were you there each night? When she was reaching out to for you to take her hand to get possessed, were you there? And he said yes.
He said he played his role every night, and that was just chilling.
Oh, that's creepy. How's that make you feel?
Kind of uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. The first night that we did the show there, you could feel his presence. And I looked at Logan and I said, what are we going to do if in front of a full audience of people, I put my hand out and he just materializes right there? Because I won't be able to keep going. I'm so scared.
It's time for an intermission. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Intermission. We got to take a break. So did you ever physically feel him touch you?
I did not during the shows. I have during several investigations, but not during the shows. But you could definitely feel the presence. You could feel his energy, which really worked for the show. Because like Logan said, this was a dark, serious show. We actually wrote it because we were like, all these shows we do are kind of goofy. We want something that really challenges us as actors. So it's a dark, serious show. It's got comedy and light moments and all of that. But so his presence really added to it, but you could definitely feel he was there.
Wow, that's creepy.
Wow.
Creepy.
Yeah. I think it's time to move to some of these questions.
I know it's already been almost an hour.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I mean, we just started.
We could start. We could tell. Oh my God.
All right. Let's go to this first one from Robin Persed. Has anything ever followed you home? Great question.
You want to start? Because I feel like you've had experiences and I have too. Or do you want me to start?
I don't know if mine was real.
Okay.
I'll let you talk about yours because it's much more interesting, and it's Montague.
It is Montague. It is the same entity. I spent a large amount of time working with the organization at Benton Hall. I was probably spending upwards of 60 hours a week in the building, working on different things. And a lot of that time was spent by myself. And I got very acquainted with Mr. Montague, or the man in the wingtip shoes, and he's a darker entity for sure. I don't want to say got close with him, but got to where he didn't bother me as much to have him.
You got close.
Well, not intentionally. It didn't bother me to have him in the space because I got so used to it. And he is stuck to that location. He is contained to that location. I don't want to say stuck. And accidentally kind of built a bond. And he actually followed me home. And I had started showing, I think we caught it during the stages of oppression. But I had definitely started building an attachment unintentionally and unknowingly. Because, of course, when you're the one doing it, I can't tell that I'm starting to show these signs of oppression. But when I started experiencing things in my home that were very specific to his energy, like the click, click of his shoes on the tile in my home, I was like, oh, there's an issue. And I brought it to Logan and another investigator that we have. And they were like, yeah, you actually have kind of been showing some of these signs. We'll keep an eye on it. And then we came to the conclusion upon further investigation that I was showing signs of oppression. And looking back on it now, it's kind of scary because I know even when they were saying, oh, we need to do this, we need to detach this entity from you and cleanse this, I was kind of reluctant to it. And it was wild, but yeah.
He's definitely always favored her. He's came through on the S-Box multiple times and called me simple bitch and shit about me. So he's never came to my house, but it's not an invitation for him to come. So Yeah.
But you're not
Yeah,
a simple bitch. Be like,
Thank
come
you.
on.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
a
you. I'm
very
not simple.
complicated bit.
Thank you.
That's right. There's complexity here, damn it.
Yeah, I've said many, many times that the reason I don't go out on these investigations, these ghost hunting investigations, is I'm terrified that something is going to follow me home.
Which we take a lot of precautions and do a lot of things. Like I said, that was built up over months of me spending just practically my whole life. I mean, there were days where I would spend the whole day and the night and just sleep there because of the things that we were working on. So that definitely took a long time to build up and break down the protections that we put up. But definitely when we go on investigations, we do a lot of, we've investigated some pretty dangerous places all the way from Lizzie Borden's Conjuring House and things like that. And definitely work to put up those protections.
Yes.
Especially at the Lizzie Borden house. Holy. That is not a holy place.
All right, moving on. Troy in Tennessee. Have either of you had a physical contact with the spirit?
Well, you got scratched on the tattoo of a Bible verse that you have.
There you go.
And by the leg. Was it the guy without legs?
It was the night with the man without legs. And we've talked about that story. I have a tattoo. It's Romans 12:19. And I have it on my wrist, and it's just something that's important to me. And it was the first time I'd ever gotten scratched. I've been scratched since then by Montague. But my wrist just started burning, and I looked down and I was like, oh my God, I've gotten scratched. And me and Logan had to step outside, and it was 3 scratches straight through the tattoo. There was actually another time, I won't go into a ton of detail because I know we're pressed for time, but during an investigation with Mr. Montague, I felt something touch me and actually ended up throwing up blood for 3 days.
Oh, shit.
I don't want to go into where this location is.
The
But
museum. Oh, do you want me to tell that?
She said, I'm telling it.
yes, we also got beat up by the KKK.
I did get beat up by the KKK.
Oh, God.
Really quick and short, I have a really strong Native American heritage. I'm inside all the time because I have an office job, so I don't look it. But I'm like 90% Native American. And we were investigating a location where they had, it was a museum, and they don't have this on the floor. It's in a vault, but they let us investigate it. It's blood-stained Grand Dragon KKK robes from like the 1920s, 1940s. And we investigated it, and I actually had... under the Estes method, an entity that was coming through and was very aggressive towards me because of my heritage. I felt burning on my wrists, like rope burn. It got so bad I had to go to the hospital the next day. And I didn't quite tell the hospital what happened because I was like, I don't want to explain this to a doctor. And they said that I did have severe rope burn and had actually torn a tendon in this arm. They asked if I was a surfer because it was July, and they said it looked like I was tethered to something and it jerked. So they asked if I had a surfboard come out from under me. And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds good. We'll say that.
We'll go with that story.
And
Way better.
Locations. There was one entity that came through where a place I was at a lot that said that it enjoyed watching me change clothes. And then when I was Estes one time, you could just feel like when you're wearing the blindfold and have the headphones, something like right there in your face. And I felt like a hand on my leg. It's feeling that just uncomfy, dirty feeling from that. Like that was like, okay, it's time to stop this right now.
Because we have some perverted spirits who are getting a little too touchy-feely.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, let's move on. Richard Minnick. Have you heard many disembodied voices?
Well, all the time. And a story one of our cast members have at one of the locations. It was a location that used to be pretty rough back a long time ago. And they were upstairs waiting to come on stage. It's a place that we've investigated but also performed at. And they were dressed as a sheriff because they play a sheriff. And these people did not get along with the law that used to hang out to frequent this location.
And he was in a room where the law definitely would not have been allowed.
And he heard a very clear, we were on stage and he was up there by himself, heard a very clear, fuck you.
And he'd never heard anything before. And that still bothers him when we're in that location.
Oh, shit.
And there was one other time, I'll be quick with this one, that basically one of the locations caught fire. and we ended up staying behind for some reason to be there when the alarms went off. We called the fire trucks. We ran in. Destiny was able to find the fire and get it taken care of. It was an electrical issue. And then after everyone else left, we were still kind of there. And as we were leaving, we turned around inside the building and said, let us know if anything else happens or if it catches on fire again, we'll be back. And as we shut the door, all of us heard from inside the building a female voice go, thank you.
Oh shit.
But we all stopped and looked and said, you heard that, right? And everyone's like, yes, actually, we all clearly heard thank you from inside the building.
God damn.
Gosh, that's wild.
Chris Blaylock, did you have any experiences as a child?
I had a lot, nothing crazy notable, just either seeing or hearing things. I was artistic as a child. I actually did a finger painting of the man. I don't actually remember this. I've been told about this and I've seen the painting. I did a finger painting and it was weirdly photorealistic for someone of my age, and set aside from my other art was not photorealistic. I was small. And I told them that it was the man who lived in the room down the hall, and it was in my grandparents' house, and they looked at it, and it looks just like my great-grandfather who was dead at the time. And I've seen pictures now, and again, most of my art back then, with rainbows and things, and this is like a photorealistic finger painting of a man, and they were like, you just pulled this out and then never did anything like this again. It was crazy. So that's probably my most notable one from being a child. I don't remember it, but...
And for me, I know the house that I mostly grew up in, I don't remember seeing anything, but I remember I would complain to my parents about like hearing someone over, like a little girl saying my name, and I'd yell like, who's here? Like, is it one of my cousins or my cousin's kids that have came over? Who keeps yelling my name? And they'd be like, no one's here. And then later, I found this out much later as probably a young adult. After we moved from that house, my mom mentioned to my dad that it was so weird that I kept calling out that this little girl was saying my name, because one day she came in from the garage and saw a little girl in a dress walk around the corner. And then my dad was like, what the hell? One day I got out of bed and went into the hallway and I saw a little girl in a dress go into the kitchen. And then later we were talking to some older people and they said back before the house was built, it was just a big field and a guy was like cutting grass with a scythe or something, and a little girl was playing and got her throat slashed.
Oh shit.
I'm not being able to verify that with records, but I mean, it makes for an interesting story, believing it at least.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still creepy as hell.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And my grandmother still lives in that house, and she says she hasn't seen anything. But I mean, I don't know. I believe that for a lot of people, if you're not open to it, even if it walked up right past you, you're not going to believe it.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of the experiences is about being open to experience that. I mean, even if like you're a kid and you're not willing to have the shit scared out of you, you're still not completely closed to the spirits that are around you.
All right, Ristel, what has been your favorite place to visit?
I've loved so many of them, but I think mine has to be the Crescent Hotel. It's the Conjuring House is so close. But I think it has to be the Crescent Hotel for me.
Crescent is definitely up there for me too. I also love the North Carolina Battleship in Wilmington, North Carolina. We investigate there too, but the Conjuring House was just so memorable. And what was so interesting about when we were there is all these people paid to stay, and you stayed the night, and they all went to bed at like 11 o'clock. Like there were legit 4 people still awake, like after 11:30 midnight, and we had till
and
like
3 of them
5.
us.
Yeah, and we were like, "What's everyone doing?" And then for the first half of the night, it was so slow, and we were like, "Are we actually going to get disappointed by the Conjuring House? Because nothing's happening." And then, but we were also kind of like, we're kind of tired too. Our energy feels like it's being drained. But once everyone went to bed, everything, it was like we became so much more active. And it wasn't as dark as, of course, the movies played it out to be, or as we expected it to be. And it was playful at times. Like I remember being in the library someone was under Estes. I think it might have been you. I don't know. And it said, go into the woods. And we said, what's in the woods? And it said, bear shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It
You're
wasn't
probably right.
half as dark as you would expect, but the level of energy at the Conjuring House is just something I've never experienced anywhere else. It's just so strong. It's insane.
Okay. Victor, have you ever seen Bigfoot, or what is your thoughts on Bigfoot?
So we've talked about wanting to branch out eventually to do more cryptid, I don't know if you'd say investigations, because we've joked about, like, if we run into a spirit, we know what to do. But if we came face to face with Bigfoot, I got nothing. Like, what? I don't know what to do next. Like, we found him, now what? I mean, I'm very interested in all forms of cryptids. I actually have a biology undergraduate degree. And I would love to go to a lot of these places, like even like Skinwalker Ranch, of course, which has a little bit of everything there. That's high up on my bucket list. But again, a lot of this other stuff besides spirits, like Bigfoot, aliens, all these other things, I'm not as prepared for what comes next if I do catch them. There is a Bigfoot festival here in Marion, North Carolina, not too far from here. And with our paranormal investigation group, we've had a booth there before and given out merchandise and sold things. If we continue working on this Bigfoot show, I imagine we'll probably get more involved with doing research on Bigfoot. I don't know if I'm ready to go camping and Squatch hunting just yet.
Well, you came to the right place if you are.
It's awesome. It's
I
so
mean, with
much
the right
fun.
people, I'll do it. I don't think it's going to be just the two of us.
No. I've not personally seen Bigfoot, but I do have a few family members who have had experiences. My grandfather, who is very close to me, he raised me.
I love that. I love that.
He is a huge Bigfoot fanatic, Bigfoot and aliens, and he claims to have had several stories. He claims one time he was fishing at night, and I won't go into the full details of the story, but he said that they saw and heard Bigfoot come running down a hill and jump in the river.
Hell yeah.
And they had to kind of bail out of there.
I love that. I love the old timer stories on Bigfoot. I can't get enough of them. I really can't. All right, let's Robin Persed. With all the experiences you have, do you still get scared or creeped out when new ones happen?
I think it depends on the experience, because you can really, after you've dealt with it for so long and you've really opened yourself up to it and gotten used to it, you can feel the difference with intentions of spirits. And sometimes it does get scary. Even with Montague, we dealt with him for years. And there were still times where he would have such an energy. You'd be like, I'm scared to be in this room right now, even though I'm very familiar with him. But a lot of times we go places, as much as people are interested into the negative parts, a lot of times we go places and we talk with people who are very positive energies and very positive spirits, and they're just people. And most of the time anymore, it's more exciting than scary. But definitely if we encounter some of these darker energies, it can be scary.
Like, a lot of it is, I personally felt my comfort level increased so much since we first started doing this. I could tell I used to be more of a chicken. And the more we've done this, especially at places like Bitten Hall would still creep me out with Montague. There were certain moments that it would still just feel so uncomfy sometimes. But I think, again, learning, like, their intentions aren't to always kill you. Like, you watch horror movies and there's ghosts and demons and all these evil things. And in real life, the actuality of running into anything evil is so slim. I mean, you might run into something that's a jerk. I mean, if you're an asshole in life, you're probably going to be an asshole in death. There's a place we investigate called the Trivet Clinic that has an entity like that too. I wouldn't. He's not evil, but he was probably just a dick when he was alive, and he still kind of is. And I wouldn't say I'm afraid of him. He's a jerk. If I'd rather usually not encounter him, if I had the option to encounter him or someone else that's there. But if I went back to Hartsville Museum, though, I think I might get creeped out in the basement.
Well, and sometimes even without the entities, you're just in a dark, creepy basement, and it's like, this is creepy. Even though I've been in 1,000 dark, creepy basements, this is a creepy basement.
Basements and hallways. I can't.
And sometimes when you do things outside, you have that added layer of, okay, there might be something paranormal. There might be a freaking, Bigfoot.
Like, there could be a bobcat.
There could be a crackhead. You don't know, depending on where you're at. There's so many.
Crackheads scare the shit out of me.
They're awful.
And then with investigations too, then there's always depending on where you are, sometimes the locations might not be the most safe. And there are times I've said, I'm more afraid of the floor than I am whatever is haunting this place because I'm going to fall through or something like that. Then I'll be a ghost.
Yep. All right, guys. Tell everybody where they can find y'all. Anything you want to promote, anything you want to talk about, this is your time.
So I appreciate you putting the link to our website in the chat for everyone to see. So thebackstairwellplayers.com/tickets is where you could go to find more information on claustrophobia, which is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, December 13th, 14th, 15th at Stardust Cellars here in North Wilkesboro. Our other shows will be most likely somewhere in the Wilkesboro area, if not in Wilkes County, definitely somewhere surrounding. And if anyone's willing to, is there anyone out there that is involved with theater, we are up. You can look at our scripts. You can purchase our scripts too, if you want to get the rights. And we would love to see our shows performed elsewhere. That's one of our goals we have coming up next, once we take a break after this, is to advertise our scripts more too for other theater groups to pick up.
We're very active on Facebook and social media. You can find all of our social media through the website, or you can just look us up on Facebook. But we're very active there, and we'll probably have information about our upcoming season for next year, closer to the end of this year, early next year. And you can always reach us by email or message.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out. This was a very, very fun show.
It was super fun. Did they freeze? Oh no.
We're just standing very still.
Okay, I thought you froze. Like, you're so good at acting. You're just like, I thought you were.
They're actors.
Well, you told us to turn the heat off, so.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you only have to freeze for a couple more minutes. You're fine.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. You guys were awesome. This was a fun show. It really was. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. It's been a good time. It went by very fast, actually.
Yeah, it always does when it's a good show.
All the good ones do. Yep.
All right, guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again.
You too. You guys have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, we need to take a trip to North Carolina.
I think we're gonna have to. That was so much fun. I love live theater.
Oh my gosh, so do I. And they have all the Christmas desserts, Wayne. Hot cocoa and Christmas desserts and a play, like theater play. I'm done, dude.
Such an awesome, awesome show. I appreciate Danny hooking that up for us. It was a great time.
Yes, it was good. And I'm sorry I sound so squeaky, guys. I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, you ruined the show. Tiffany, I mean, shit. We're going to have to scrap it. Why? Why did you even do this?
Oh, no.
Whatever. I love you.
No, I love you too, man. I'll be better Tuesday, maybe.
All right. You want to say your goodbyes, ma'am?
Goodbye. Thank you for coming and for showing your support. And for the new members, I mean, thank you so much for joining our family, and for Goonie Goo Goo, the $1.99. Thank you so much for everything you always do for us. Y'all are top notch.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. We love you. We will see you next time. Until then, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.